All right, let's talk Texas A&M Aggies football heading into a big-time SEC matchup this weekend. It's not a must-win, but it feels like it for the Aggies. Fortunately, they just got some great news that should help them get that big W. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Texas A&M heading into their first SEC game of the season. I think it's a game they have to win against a Florida Gators squad that hasn't looked particularly good so far this season. And great news for the Texas A&M Aggies. They getting a key playmaker back on offense at the perfect time. Let's pull up this report, and then we'll talk about it more on the other side. This is courtesy of SI.com. The Texas A&M Aggies will be getting some of their depth back on Saturday as they travel to Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators. The offensive backfield, which is already missing running back Ruben Owens, will likely see the return of E.J. Smith, the transfer from Stanford, who looked good in the season opening loss to Notre Dame. I think we should be really good. E.J. Smith was kind of a game time decision. Texas A&M coach Mike Elko said Thursday, we've had him back now. He's been rip-roaring, ready to go, and practice all week. Obviously, E.J. Smith's a nice playmaker. The Texas A&M Aggies, they needed, obviously, offensive playmaking was an issue in week one against Notre Dame, despite their defeat against Northern Illinois. They're a quality opponent. They're going to need the firepower against the Florida Gators. So great news, E.J. Smith is back. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the Aggies. But first, Texas A&M fans, in the comment section below, give us your prediction. First SEC game of the year, first conference game of the year. Florida Gators, Texas A&M. Let us know what you think the final score will be of this, I think, pretty pivotal for both squads early season matchup. Give us your prediction in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest news out of College Station?
Yeah, and I think this is pretty good news for Texas A&M, and I think this is like a pivotal thing we've seen throughout college football lately. That strategy there, we talked about college football going more to a modern NFL look, day in and day out, every day. You see it change more that way, and you look at Texas A&M, you look at their rushing stats for this game. You've got defensive backs coming in as playmakers, like running the ball. You've got quarterbacks that are high up there as far as carries. Not a lot of running backs in the rotation. Moss and Daniels are the two guys who lead the pack. Then Smith is down there at number 4 as well. I think they need to get a guy healthy, get him in there, and get a rotation, that workhorse, a stable of running backs rather than having 1, 2 guys shoulder most of the load. We've seen it work. We saw Nebraska use this strategy. Nebraska implemented it this whole season, but most notably against Colorado. Worked out really well for them. I think Texas A&M can use this because, as like you said, this is first SEC game of the season. This is one you really got to win going forward. Florida has looked up and down, I would say, but I think having a guy like Smith, who coming from Stanford transfer, we don't exactly know what he's going to be on this team, but we saw some flashes of him. 6 yards a carry as a rusher for this team. Had a big carry as well, 14-yard rush from him. He's making those splash plays in very limited carries. So I think him getting some more reps, this Texas A&M offense having another rusher added to the backfield who seems pretty legitimate. I think this can do nothing but help them going forward because it's going to be tough sledding for Texas A&M in this SEC schedule. Always is going to be that way. So having a third running back in this depth chart until everybody gets healthy is something that you really cannot discount.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. And look, obviously, you mentioned a tough SEC schedule. That's why I feel like this is almost a must win for Texas A&M very early in the season. Fortunately, they've got the son of a former all-time great Florida Gator, E.J. Smith, son of Emmitt Smith, coming into a matchup at Florida. It's one of those weird things. It makes football great, these kind of deals here. I feel like there's just a little extra energy with E.J. Smith coming back off an injury. I think he's poised to have a huge game. This is a Florida team that really struggled against the Miami Hurricanes, which are good, undeniably so, but they're not. Look, I don't mean to be mean to Miami here. I think they're a very talented team, but they're not nearly as deep as most teams we see in the SEC. And Florida had all kinds of troubles with their playmakers. I think the addition of another one for A&M will give this Florida Gators defense a lot of headaches. I think Texas A&M looks good enough on offense. I think they still have some issues, but I think they fix some of them. Defensively, I think they handle Florida. I think they win this game. This feels like 27-17, maybe 31-21, maybe something like that. And I think A&M right here gets their first SEC win and builds a lot of momentum heading into this brutal SEC schedule. And look, this is also a big-time opportunity for a recruiting battle in the state of Florida. Elko is obviously taking a very different approach than Jimbo Fisher. I think if he goes into Gainesville, into the swamp, and gets a win, I think he'll go a long way in recruiting. So I guarantee you that's on his mind as well. This is a big time game. In a weird way, this means more for Elko and A&M than I think for Billy Napier of Florida, because I think Napier understands he's most likely on his last legs. He's about to get fired. I think the Aggies come into Florida and get a big time win for the program here.
Yeah, Nick, and if we look at the schedule going forward for Texas A&M as well, I think this lines up really well because we said Ruben, he's going to be coming back soon. I don't think he's going to be out for too long, but they have a good stretch for Smith to really get his legs underneath him, so to speak. You have Florida, then you go up against Bowling Green. Not too tough of a matchup, can't overlook anybody, but that should be okay. Then another SEC matchup that is very winnable against Arkansas. They're a tough team, but I think that's a game they should be able to win until they come against Missouri, number 6 ranked Missouri. That could be a tough one, but a couple 3-game stretch there to really get everybody back healthy, to get his EJ Smith, get his legs underneath him. I think this will really line up well for Texas A&M.